Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another breakfast chat. And today I'm going to chat with you guys a little bit about something I saw in the comments yesterday saying, hey, how big of a calorie surplus should a novice be eating? And we need to look at this from a practicality perspective. And what I mean is practicality. A novice needs to put on as much muscle as humanly possible in their first year without reaching an unacceptable or unhealthy level of body fat. Okay, and people will say a lot of silly things like, well, 500 calorie surplus, and some people say, well, that's too large, they'll get too fat. And other people, well, even at a 200, you have no way to guarantee they're in a surplus because we can't track calories that closely, and these things are all correct. So here's what I'm going to say. Novice lifters, because their metabolism is going to be so dynamic, meaning in their energy turnover, their TDE is going to be so dynamic, you shouldn't be thinking in terms of how many calories you're adding, because you need to be looking at is what's your average calorie intake versus what do you weigh? How much weight are you gaining? And the reason I say that is because you need to have a set amount of weight you need to gain. And that weight gain needs to be there to maximize muscle growth, not to say, oh, can I stay as lean as possible? Can I lose a bunch of body fat? All right? This is not going to be productive. You're going to waste your noob gains. You're going to waste your noob gains and you're not going to get anywhere. And you're still going to be tiny and weak after a year of training, which is what most people are. You need to be gaining weight. Unless you're a novice who is obese, and the guys say, well, I'm 20% body fat at 160 pounds. No, you're not obese. Okay. Now, if you're 230 and you're 5'9", 5'10", and you're starting out, you're obese. You need to be on a diet. But people who are in the normal weight range, I don't care if they're skinny fat. Guys who are skinny fat need to be bulking. They just need to be bulking slower than the guy who's skinny lean. Okay. Big difference. And here's what we need to remember. In an optimal environment, a novice can gain up to 2 pounds of muscle every month. Well, an optimal environment usually means they're gaining body fat. Okay, it means they're gaining body fat. So what would that be? It'd probably be something like 3 pounds a month. 3 pounds of body weight gain per month on ideal programming is going to put about 2 pounds of muscle per month on a novice. Now people say, well, they're gaining fat. Well, so what? You're not going to make lean gains the way people tell you are without gear. It's not realistic. Okay, that's marketing. It's not reality. So if you have someone who's a skinny novice, right, they got visible abs, they're not 20% body fat. Okay, they need to be gaining 3 pounds every month for probably 9 or 10 months. Put 30 pounds on. And if they do it correctly with good training that works the entire body, plenty of workload, high enough volume, high enough progressive tension, they're going to put on 20 pounds of muscle potentially, unless they're very short. And they're going to put on 10, 12 pounds of fat. They're going to put on 18, 19, 20 pounds of muscle. That's what's going to happen. Someone who is skinny like that is already an undereater. They're not going to have any problem dieting 10 pounds of fat off. It's going to be easy for them. But they're going to have made double the gains they would have made otherwise. They're going to have made for them what would have been 2 to 3 years worth of work, right? To do 1 year. Well, what about someone who's skinny fat? Somebody says, well, I'm 160 pounds. I got my DEXA scan. I'm 22% body fat. Lean bulk. Gain a pound a month. They'll say, what? Gain a pound a month. Your body composition will improve. Okay, if you're 22% body fat at a healthy body weight, your body composition is because you don't have any muscle. If you can recomp at that point while bulking, that person can gain a pound a month over the next 9 or 10 months while probably losing about 5 or 6 pounds of body fat in that time. But if their body weight has gone up 10 pounds, they put on 15 pounds of muscle, lost 5 pounds of fat, they're not going to be 22% body fat anymore. Okay? So people say, well, how many calories does it take to do that? Why don't you just weigh in and adjust on a weekly basis? Meaning, if you weigh in every morning at the same time, you establish a pattern. If you're eating 2,500 calories and at the end of a week, you set it, let's say you've set a goal of gaining 1, 2, 3 pounds, whatever it is. You need to have that fraction on an average week. In other words, if you set a goal of gaining 2 pounds a month, you should gain half a pound every week. If you gained less than half a pound, you probably need to add a couple hundred calories. If you gained more, you need to reduce your calories. So for the month overall, you end up hitting your target number. So let's say you've set the goal of an average bulk for someone who's not skinny fat or skinny lean, they're just in the normal range or a regular novice, and say you're going to gain 2 pounds a month, which you guys should be gaining, if not 3. So that means if they're 160, then the next month they need to be 162, start of the month. The month after that, they need to be 164. And if they're not, you just increase or decrease calories on average. Rather than saying how much of a surplus, because I mean, we could calculate that down to the exact calorie. That's a ballpark. Don't worry about, am I eating a 200 calorie surplus or a 5? What you need to be worried about is, am I eating enough to see the scale weight change the way that I want? Okay, because knowing how much of a surplus you're in is going to change week to week. As long as the scale is going up on a weekly basis in the amount that you have set, again, you can do the math yourself. If you're trying to gain 3 pounds a month, you need to gain about 3/4 of a pound every week, about 12 ounces on the scale. People in kilos can go do their own math backwards. Like, you guys can readjust that. Okay? That's what you need to do. That's the practical way to approach it, because your energy turnover is going to go up. And you're a novice who's bulking, I promise you every single month your calorie needs are going to go up unless you have done something specifically to cause yourself to burn less energy. Okay? Energy turnover is very dynamic. The longer we're in a deficit, the lower it goes, and the longer we're in a surplus, the higher our energy needs go. And it has a lot to do with NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So here's what I would say. Don't worry about, am I exactly in a 200 or a 500 surplus? Worry about, this week, did I gain the exact amount of weight that I need to gain, and adjust your calories for the following week based on that. Okay, adjust it based on that on a weekly basis while doing an average weigh-in every day and just plotting it. That's your solution. Okay, and what sort of rules should you be looking for? If you're really skinny lean, skinny, the true skinny guy, 3 pounds every month. If you got a belly and you're skinny fat and in the normal range, 1 pound a month, every other novice who's in between about 2 pounds. Do that for a year straight. That's what you need to do, and you need to do it consistently if you want to finish out your new gains. Because if you do this wrong, you're going to spend a lot more time gaining muscle in the long term. It is going to slow you. It's going to set you back a year. It's going to set you back a year if you don't do this correctly. And again, we can set this to the side for people who are at an obese body weight. Obviously, they can probably run a deficit for 6 months and still make pretty good gains. Okay, but for their overall health, they need to do that. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.